You know, not about to let my little bro the money out.
I know that.
I love him.
I know that.
Keep this spread. Is they gonna give me like 200, 300?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the whole plan.
NBA YoungBoy just ripped the curtain back on what he says is a dark side of Birdman, exposing a situation that looks way more sinister than anyone expected. Behind that loving, father figure image, YoungBoy claims there was a quiet, calculated setup happening the entire time. What looked like guidance and protection allegedly turned into manipulation that left one of hip-hop's most painful betrayals. The truth behind why their bond completely collapsed is heavier than fans were ready for. And we're about to break it all down, piece by piece. Stay locked in. Yo, what's good, fam? We're about to jump straight into some real industry politics that's been sending shockwaves through hip-hop. This ain't your average rap beef or internet back and forth. This is about power plays, broken trust, and a young artist finally saying enough is enough. Before we take this ride, let me be real with y'all. Social media has been on fire since NBA YoungBoy dropped Tays of War, a track where he directly points a finger at Birdman. But we're here to sort out what's real, what's exaggerated, and what really went down. June 9th, 2024. Lock that date in your mind, because that's when everything shifted for NBA YoungBoy. While under house arrest in Utah and fighting serious federal charges, he released a 6-minute audio confession that rocked the culture. This wasn't a sneak diss or coded bars. This was raw, emotional, and straight from the chest. One drop, and suddenly one of the most powerful names in hip-hop was being questioned publicly. The industry felt that shock immediately. Now, don't get it twisted and think this is just another case of rappers trading shots. This situation cuts way deeper than diss tracks and timeline jokes. We're talking about a young artist who put his full trust in someone he saw as a father. Someone he believed was guiding him, protecting him, and helping him survive the industry, only to later realize, at least in his eyes, that he may have been played the entire time. That kind of betrayal hits different. And here's where it gets real uncomfortable. Birdman's been accused of running this exact same play before. And his most famous example? Lil Wayne. That history alone makes YoungBoy's claims hit harder. This isn't a random accusation coming out of nowhere. There's a pattern people have whispered about for years. And now another artist from Louisiana is saying he lived it firsthand. So let's rewind to around 2018. NBA YoungBoy was on fire, one of the hottest young rappers alive, but his legal issues were stacking up fast. Case after case had labels nervous, and Atlantic Records didn't know how to handle him. They had a streaming monster who was also a walking risk. That's when Birdman entered the picture, looking like a savior. In an industry where legends don't just reach out for nothing, Birdman's interest felt like a blessing. See, when someone like Birdman, the architect of Cash Money's billion-dollar legacy, puts his arm around you, it's supposed to mean opportunity. But this wasn't just about paperwork or deal. According to YoungBoy, Birdman sold him the idea of family, mentorship, loyalty, unconditional support. He wasn't just offering business, he was offering belonging. And that's what made it so powerful. Birdman's pitch was flawless. He could point to Lil Wayne, the kid he turned into a rap icon. Drake, who became a global superstar. Nicki Minaj, crowned queen of rap. When Birdman told YoungBoy, "You're next," it didn't sound like hype. It sounded like destiny coming from someone with receipts. For a traumatized young artist from Baton Rouge, that promise meant everything. YoungBoy had already been through more than most people twice his age. He'd lost close friends, survived shootings, and was navigating fame without real guidance. So when Birdman stepped in as a father figure, offering wisdom and protection, YoungBoy leaned all the way in. Their chemistry felt real. Songs like We Popping showed it. When they announced from the Bayou in 2018, fans saw it as Louisiana royalty linking generations. Birdman was loud with his support too, publicly defending YoungBoy, calling him the future of rap, promising to guide him through the industry's dangerous waters. On the surface, it looked solid, but behind the scenes, YoungBoy says things weren't adding up. The numbers felt off. The energy felt different. And while all this family talk was happening in public, the private reality told another story. Here's the wild part. Lil Wayne may have tried to warn him. On Wayne's 2020 track, Multiple Flows, there was a line that, looking back, sounds like a red flag. At the time, Most people brushed it off. But now, with everything YoungBoy's saying, that bar hits way harder. And suddenly, this isn't just one artist speaking out. It's starting to feel like history repeating itself. And I told YoungBoy to watch out for the old head. That line wasn't random at all. That was a veteran speaking from scars, not bars. Lil Wayne wasn't just rapping. He was trying to stop another young soldier from walking straight into the same trap that almost ruined his own life and career. If you don't understand why that warning mattered so much, you've got to understand the history behind it. Because Wayne and Birdman's story followed the exact same blueprint, step by step. It started with love, loyalty, and mentorship. Wayne called Birdman his father. They had matching tattoos, public affection, and a bond the industry looked at as unbreakable. Birdman even went as far as adopting Wayne's kids as his own grandkids. That wasn't just business. That was deep emotional connection. But the moment money entered the conversation, the entire relationship flipped upside down. And that's when the real Birdman allegedly showed up. Wayne eventually sued Birdman in Cash Money Records for $51 million in unpaid royalties. The lawsuit exposed a disturbing pattern. Payments being withheld. Albums delayed for years. Promises broken behind closed doors. The same man Wayne loved like a father was now accused of playing him the entire time, using emotion to keep control while allegedly pocketing millions that belonged to the artists who built the empire in the first place. And this is where people mess up thinking this is just one bad situation. This ain't about a single artist. This looks like a system, a strategy. Birdman's alleged playbook has always been simple but deadly effective. Find young, hungry artists with raw talent. Catch them at their most vulnerable moment. Offer family, guidance, and protection. Get them emotionally locked in. Then keep control while the financial side starts getting real shady. The street's been whispering about this for years, but nobody wanted to believe it because the success stories were so loud. Yeah, Birdman helped create legends. Nobody denies that. But the real question is, at what cost? And more importantly, who benefited the most when those artists were grinding nonstop? Because when you really look back, the pattern starts to look way less inspirational and way more exploitative. When From the Bayou finally dropped in December 2021, after all those delays, real ones noticed something felt off. It didn't sound like a true joint project. It felt like a YoungBoy album with Birdman's name slapped on it. Birdman's actual presence was minimal, but his name was still on the credits. And that meant he was still getting paid off YoungBoy's work, whether he showed up or not. Now here's where it gets crazy. According to industry insiders, Birdman basically got YoungBoy for free. Atlantic Records had given up on him while he was dealing with serious federal charges. They thought his career was finished and decided to cut their losses. Birdman saw opportunity where everyone else saw liability. Mike Kaiser from Atlantic essentially handed YoungBoy over without a fight. Birdman later bragged about this in a conversation with DJ Academics. He said he would have gladly paid $10 to $20 million for YoungBoy. But Atlantic just gave him away. They were tired of the problems. Birdman even called it cold-blooded business. Let that sink in. While telling YoungBoy he loved him like a son, he was celebrating getting him for free like he caught a crazy deal at a clearance sale. Transaction. And that's exactly what YoungBoy realized he was to Birdman in the end. Not a son, not family, just a high-value asset on a balance sheet. As 2022 and 2023 rolled around, the illusion started cracking. Those sweet promises began sounding empty. That father figure energy that pulled him in started feeling more like control. And the so-called unconditional support, it slowly revealed itself to be very conditional. For anyone who really understands a culture, this kind of betrayal hits deeper than any street beef ever could. This wasn't about money or clout or territory. This was about trust, loyalty, and family. YoungBoy gave his heart to someone he believed genuinely cared for him, only to realize he was just another chess piece being moved around the board. That realization cuts different when it comes from someone you call family. By April 2024, YoungBoy hit his breaking point. Federal agents had just raided his Utah home. The charges were heavy. The pressure was real. And the one person who was supposed to stand beside him when it mattered most was nowhere to be found. That's when he recorded Tales of War, the final track he made before his arrest. And you can hear the weight of everything collapsing in real time. What really shook people wasn't anger. It was the vulnerability. This wasn't a diss record filled with threats and bravado. This was pain. This was disappointment. This was heartbreak spilling out on wax. When YoungBoy rapped that Stunner never really loved him and admitted he should have listened to Carter, you could hear the regret in his voice. That line hit hard because it was him finally admitting he'd been outplayed. He was publicly acknowledging that Lil Wayne had tried to warn him, but he was blinded by promises and potential. In the hood, admitting you were wrong takes a different kind of strength, especially in a culture where vulnerability gets mistaken for weakness. YoungBoy chose honesty over ego. He chose truth over pride. And that kind of transparency takes real courage. The song also exposed how Birdman allegedly dangled major deals without ever fully delivering. It painted a picture of boundaries being crossed, personal life being invaded, and emotional leverage being used to maintain control. The same pattern Wayne described years earlier seemed to replay itself. A veteran using reputation and power to dominate a younger artist who trusted him completely. Now let's talk about Birdman's response, or the lack of one. No aggressive clapback. No loud denial. Just silence. And that silence spoke louder than any diss track ever could. Either the accusations hit too close to home, or Birdman knew responding would only add fuel to the fire. Sometimes saying nothing says everything. But this story is bigger than just YoungBoy and Birdman. This is about how the music industry operates behind closed doors. Young artists, especially those from traumatic backgrounds, are easy targets of manipulation. The formula stays the same. Find them young. Find them hungry. Offer what they lack most. Earn their trust. Then use that trust to stay in control while the business favors you. For people not tapped into industry politics, this kind of exploitation isn't rare at all. It's baked into the system. The music business has always been built on taking advantage of talent before they understand their worth. Of artists who never really learn how the game works. The difference now is the era we're in. With social media and platforms like YouTube, artists don't need middlemen to tell their stories anymore. They can speak directly to the fans and expose what's really happening behind closed doors. YoungBoy stepping up and calling Birdman out publicly sent a warning shot to other young artists stuck in similar situations. It showed how important it is to have real people around you who can recognize game being run, even when you're too emotionally invested to see it yourself. And the real question nobody wants to ask out loud is this. How many other artists has Birdman allegedly done this to? We know about Lil Wayne. We know about YoungBoy. But how many others never made it far enough to tell their story? How many promising careers got chewed up, controlled, and discarded before the artists ever reached their full potential? Those stories usually stay buried because the power imbalance is real. At the end of the day, YoungBoy's situation isn't just about one bad deal or one broken relationship. This is about power, loyalty, consequences, and the price young artists pay when they trust the wrong people. It's about an industry that keeps exploiting vulnerable talent while hiding behind words like mentorship, family, and love. The branding looks nice, but the results tell a different story. Now here's a twist nobody saw coming. By August 2025, YoungBoy and Birdman reportedly reconciled. They squashed the beef, and Birdman even joined YoungBoy on the Make America Slime Again tour. Some people called it growth. Some saw healing. Others looked at it and thought, here we go again. Because when history repeats itself, it usually starts with forgiveness. That reconciliation raised some serious questions. Did Birdman actually change, or did he just talk his way back in? Is this a genuine second chance, or the beginning of the same cycle repeating itself? Only time can answer that. But what we do know is this. Tales of war expose a pattern that goes way beyond one relationship. That truth is already out there, and it can't be erased. So now the spotlight shifts to what happens next. Will more artists start speaking up about their own experiences? Will the industry finally hold powerful figures accountable? Or will this just become another cautionary tale that fades away until the next young artist gets played? That's the real cliffhanger here. What do you think about YoungBoy's situation and Birdman's pattern of behavior? Do you believe the reconciliation was real, or do you think YoungBoy is walking back into heartbreak? Drop your thoughts in the comments and make sure you're subscribed. We're going to keep breaking down the real stories behind the headlines. The culture deserves the truth, and we're not stopping. Stay solid, fam. And remember, Not everyone who calls you family actually has your best interests at heart. Sometimes the closest people are the ones playing you the hardest. That's the real lesson from all of this. Peace.